Hey guys, today what we're going to be doing is we're going to be talking about photosynthesis. Now you might be thinking, photosynthesis, it's with plants. What does that have to do with me? But I want to make sure you start to understand photosynthesis is extremely important for us to understand because we wouldn't get our food or our energy unless there were plants. So let's make sure we start to understand the process, and then you'll start to understand why it's important for at least us to understand what the basic parts are. So let's get started. All right, so one of the things we need to do is before we actually get started, we need to review a little. So I'm going to ask you to think back about an organelle that we've studied before, and I want you to think, what organelle is responsible for absorption of sunlight to make food, or in this case, sugar for a cell? If you could guess that it's a chloroplast, you're correct. We're going to be talking about chloroplasts a lot today because that's where photosynthesis occurs. Remember, chloroplasts are those green little blobs that you can see on this picture, kind of green little balls that are inside a plant cell. That the reason why they're green is because they have this pigment, it's called chlorophyll, which allows them to be able to absorb the sunlight. And it's in that location, in the chloroplast, they actually see this magical formula start to occur, or this magical reaction start to occur, which is extremely important for us. So, one of the things I want to make sure we start to understand why it's so important. So we heavily rely on plants for two purposes. In photosynthesis, we get sugar, it makes sugar, and oxygen. Those are two things that we can't live without. And since we, or any animal, can't make our own sugar, we have to get it from somewhere. And guess what? We get it from plants. So I want to make sure we understand photosynthesis is extremely important for us to understand because that's where we get two essential nutrients or ingredients for us to be able to live. So here's the breakdown of what photosynthesis looks like. Remember, it says photo for light and synthesis to make. So it's light-making form of energy. So basically what ends up happening is the plant traps the sunlight in its chlorophyll, in the chloroplast, and then water comes up the roots of the plant, and carbon dioxide comes in through the stomata of the leaves. And those three things combine to create sugar. And as a byproduct, oxygen is then given off. And so it's really important for us to understand that sugar is our energy that we need. And the oxygen is what we need to breathe and to be able to live. So photosynthesis in plants are extremely important for us. Now, one of the things that we're going to start talking about is the chemical equations. Chemical equations look just like this, where you have some things on one side, and then you have an arrow, and then you have some stuff on the other side. The things that are on the side, it's called the reactants. Those are the things that basically when they combine together, they cause a chemical reaction to occur, or they cause new chemicals to form. The things on the product side of the equation, those are things that are being made from the reactants. And so there's something that's new that's formed. And so if you take a look at this equation, you can see that we have carbon dioxide, water, and then sunlight are all on the reactant side. They are all needed all together to be able to go ahead and have photosynthesis occur, or to be able to make the sugar. And if one of those things is missing, if water's missing, if carbon dioxide is missing, or if the sunlight's missing, we don't necessarily see this typically occur. So if you think of sugar as a storage for energy, it's a molecule of a whole bunch of particles put together that stores the energy, and then when it breaks apart, that's where we get our energy from. And then as a byproduct, we have oxygen. So if you take a look at this image, we just talked about what's needed for photosynthesis to occur, and then what's formed as a result of photosynthesis or a product of photosynthesis. What's missing from this picture? Notice you have carbon dioxide, water, and sunlight all coming to the plant, and then oxygen's given off. If you said sugar, that's right. The sugar is stored in the plant, stored in the leaves, stored in the roots, stored in the stems for use later on, so that they can go ahead and then use that sugar when it's needed to make energy. So what would happen if photosynthesis didn't occur? Well, if you think about it, if the plants couldn't get their energy from the sun, they wouldn't be able to make sugar, which is nutrients or energy, stored energy. Then we wouldn't be able to go ahead and eat them to get the energy from the plants, and then the animals wouldn't be able to. And so then, again, there wouldn't be any animals. So it's really important for us to understand that photosynthesis is extremely important for our survival. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be doing a lab to help us understand this process, where energy goes into the chloroplast with carbon dioxide and water, and then makes sugar and oxygen as a result. And so please make sure you watch the lab video so that you're ready for class. See you tomorrow.